So, precursor warning, I am actually filming this intro that you're watching right now at the end of today's repair, because after everything that happened, I feel like I gotta give you a little bit of a warning. The whole premise of this video was to show you all the steps you need to check. If you feel like your chainsaw has too much compression, I'm gonna knock that one out in just a few minutes. But then I had to fix this chainsaw once I got it to pull easily, and that's when things got bizarre. Does your chainsaw do this? This thing feels like it's got way too much compression. Hey y'all, thanks for tuning back into Chickanic. I hope everybody's having a great week. Today I have a customer Stihl 028 chainsaw. Now, even though I'm working on this model, this can happen to any chainsaw. So today we're gonna go over all the things to check that could be causing your saw to feel like it has way too much compression. Hopefully it'll save your shoulder and save you some time, money, and frustration in the future. Now, first thing you're gonna wanna do is remove the bar and chain, and I'll show you why. Now, this saw did not have this issue, but it's something that I've seen multiple times. When you go to put your chain back on these sprockets, sometimes people will get them lodged in between this washer and the sprocket itself. So the chain will be stuck, and anytime you try to pull it, you've already tightened it so much that it's pushing against your clutch. So it's also dragging on the entire machine whenever you go to start it. So it's definitely something to check first. Always remove your bar and chain and make sure that it's not your issue. Now, that's always the first thing I check because it's one of the most common issues I ever see. But since it's not on this chainsaw, we're gonna go a little farther. We're gonna pull the plug and see what the piston and cylinder look like inside. Now, you can just eyeball this by looking inside, but I wanna get a really good look all the way around, so I'm gonna break out my HD endoscope here. I'm gonna take the piston down as low as it can go. And let's see what it looks like inside. Now, this saw happens to look beautiful, almost brand new inside. It still has its cross thatching, which is sort of insane. It's been taken care of very well, so piston and cylinder look great. All right, we knocked out the two most common issues of it. We know it's not burned up, and we know that the chain wasn't binding. So the next two things that we might check is the muffler to make sure that it's not full of gasoline or water, because a lot of times they will hydrolock if they're full, or the rewind. If the rewind pulley or dogs are messed up, it could also be the issue. Now, because it seems sort of dry inside and I don't see bubbles of gasoline coming through, I'm not going to assume that there's gasoline underneath the piston or in the muffler. I'm going to go ahead and check the rewind next. Oh, check this out. We have a dog missing. We have a broken rewind pulley. It's broke right here. This entire section's broke out. This has had a lot of strain put on it. And with it working with only one dog, oh, and that doesn't feel very smooth either. It could definitely be the issue. Let's go find some parts. So 1133195. I do not have in stock that rewind pulley. What do I got down there? No way. I have an entire rewind. And that is why I keep everything. Now, this definitely doesn't mean I'm not going to repair the customer's rewind assembly, but it makes it super convenient that I have this one with almost, yeah, it's got a brand new rope, 2 dogs in it. The rewind pulley looks beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and try it on there and see if it makes a difference. And I went ahead and changed the fuel filter because that thing's disgusting. Well, went to go throw some gas in her, and the gas cap was leaking like a sieve, so popped on a new one. All right, who thinks it's gonna pull a lot easier now that it has that distribution of tension better? I do. Let's check. My secret 2 little pulls. Oh, yeah. There we go. It's a Stihl. It takes a few pulls. Take it off choke. Okay, well, we can get it started now, but it obviously has some more issues. So let's see why it just ran like crazy and died. All right, so we got my fuel in there, a fresh fuel filter, a fresh plug. We know the piston and cylinder's good. I'm going to go ahead and check the adjustments on the carburetor because the customer could have definitely messed with them. Now, fortunately on this model, it does just take a small flathead to adjust the high and low, and it has a diagram on the side of the air filter cover that is going to tell you the high needs to be a 3/4 turn out and the low a 1/4 turn. So we're going to screw both of them in all the way and come out to its specs. All right, let's see where he had it. His throttle, all right, is all the way in. Okay, that's probably why it revved up like it did. The low adjustment is 1.5. Okay, and the high, you know, it's supposed to be 3/4 of 1 turn. Let's see where they're at. Oh, getting the hole. You see what I'm doing here. Okay, we've got 1, 2. All right, so let's put it in factory settings. See what she does. Well, she's still dying. She didn't run away that time. Maybe we can adjust it out of it. Let's see. I'm going to try it one more time, see what she does. Now we know it is running way too lean, so I'm going to come out a full turn on the low, a full turn on the high, and we're going to see if there's any difference at all. And if it's still running sporadic, we're going to know that we have to go inside the carburetor. Come out another 1/2 turn on the low and a 1/4 turn on the high. Let's see what she does. Let's come out a little more on the low. I'm going to go in on the throttle just a smidge. Well, at least we fixed the hard to start compression issue, because this would not be a fun repair if I had to deal with that the entire time. But it is pulling a lot easier now that I fixed the rewind. If you have checked all those things and you are still having an issue starting your large CC'd chainsaw, I made a video a long time ago on a super cool trick on how to start your chainsaw if it's hard to start. It has had like 3.5 million views and thousands of commenters who said that they had given up trying to start their chainsaw until they saw my video, and now it's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. They can start it every time. So if you are still having an issue starting your chainsaw, I will leave a link right above or in the description box below if you want to check that video out. So let's dig into this thing. Got my golf tee, makes a perfect little stopper, just like that. We are going to have to remove the throttle control lever to get this off, and there is no easy way to go take it off that way, and I can't get to it through here, so I have to remove the top of the handle. Great. Now to remove the top of the handle on the Stihl, they used to have a little screw that all you had to do is undo the screw and you could take the top of the handle off. Now they have this, which is like a little prong. I'm just gonna get my needle nose pliers and spread those two black prongs apart, and then the top of the handle will just pop right up. Get up there. There you go. Now that I've got that undone, we're just gonna slide that off right there. Slide this off there. I'll pull the carburetor off. Oh, whoa. No wonder. Check this out, guys. How do you know that somebody's been working on a chainsaw that obviously should not be working on a chainsaw? When there's just a random gasket that's not supposed to be there that just happens to be covering up the impulse hole. No wonder. Now, a lot of saws do have a carburetor mounting gasket, but many, a majority, maybe all, I don't know, I'd have to think about it, of the Stihls do not have a carburetor mounting gasket. They just have this rubber piece right here, which is part of the intake, and that usually seals it up just fine. But with that impulse hole being covered up, this thing was never going to run right. And while I have it apart, I've got my little impulse hole right here that's connected to the crankcase. I'm going to just stick my finger over it, pull on the pull rope a couple times and see if I can feel that pulse. Yeah, it's working. Now, since I have the carburetor off anyways, I'm going to go ahead and open it up, make sure there's no debris inside of it, and also that the metering diaphragm isn't hard. So I'm like 99% confident that I'm going to throw this carburetor back on there and it's going to run great after I adjust it. Now, what I am going to do is set these adjustments back where they're supposed to be. I did go ahead and do a full turn on the high, even though it says 3/4, and a half a turn on the low, because older saws sometimes just need a little bit more help. So it's better to have too much than too little. You're never going to believe this. Got it all put back together and went to put the bar and chain on so I can start it up for y'all, and something ain't jiving. Now, I know somebody's worked on this, so I don't know, you know, what bar, what chain, what sprocket they got on here. I'm going to see what it's supposed to have. But whenever you go down here and look, that chain is not fitting in that bar. I'm thinking they have a 325 pitch sprocket, a 325 pitch bar with a 3/8 full chain. Wrong chain, guys. Gotta cut them a new one. So yeah, we've got a 325 pitch sprocket with a 3/8 full chain. Okay, I can't see what's on the side of the bar to make sure that it's 325 pitch, but I do have a 325 pitch chain for a Stihl 63 gauge, and when I set it on in here, oh yeah, fits like a glove. So they definitely were running the wrong chain, and it's a good thing we caught it because it would have destroyed the sprocket the first time they ran it. All right, new chain on there, chain brake off. Oh yeah, smooth as butter. Okay, we're ready. My choke, brought my adjusting tool just in case. Oh yeah, take her off, choke. Something is not right. My spidey sense is kicking in. I need to tear it back apart. Now, I know that somebody else has worked on it, so let's see what else they might have done. Well, the spark plug is super dry, slightly tinted. You can't really see it in the video, but it is tinted gray a little bit. It's not getting enough fuel. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did not see this the first time I dug into the carburetor and saw that, yeah, the diaphragms and everything looked perfect. I mean, there shouldn't have been nothing wrong with the inside of the carburetor. It looked like somebody had put a kit in it, in fact. Tore it back off. Doesn't say Stihl on it. It's a $12 aftermarket carburetor that does not work. This is why I do not buy aftermarket Amazon Stihl carburetors, because probably 70% of the time they do not work. Can I make this one work? Because I don't have a new one in stock. This carburetor is probably $90. Hence the reason they bought it off Amazon. But this thing is only getting fuel when I have it choked. I guess let's tear it apart and see if there's something wrong inside of this aftermarket carburetor. First, let's take the metering diaphragm side off. There has been times like when I worked on that Stihl clone chainsaw, it had the needle lever valve was, I think it was upside down from the factory, put in that way. That's why the customer had never been able to run their brand new saw. So let's pray. Let's hope that this is something simple like an upside down needle lever that just, you know, got through their quality control. I'm gonna have to get this off without messing it up. No, the needle lever looks okay. There is some gooky in there. Maybe I can clean it out. So whoever worked on it and put the gasket where it didn't need to be, and I assume that was the issue because when I looked in the carburetor, the diaphragms looked new. I looked like they had put a carburetor kit in it, but no, it's a completely brand new carburetor, even though it is aftermarket. And even after they did all that, they didn't change out this disgusting fuel filter. Okay, got her all cleaned up. Do over. Now, the one thing about using an aftermarket carburetor is if you ever have to adjust it, which the majority of the time you do, you're going to have to know about where they start their adjustments at, because you cannot go off the factory OEM adjustments because they are never the same. So even though this saw says to start out at 3/4 and 1/4, that is probably very far off from what it actually needs to be. So y'all tired of this video yet? I might not get it to run. I'm just letting you know. If he doesn't want to put an OEM carburetor on it and I can't get this aftermarket carburetor run, this thing might never pop off. Hopefully that spring makes a difference. Getting that gooky stuff out of there makes a difference. It really needs to get some more fuel to actually run. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm going to let y'all know whether it works or not. So I don't mind showing you my failures. I don't know. I'm hoping. Let's cross our fingers. Let's stop. Say a little prayer for me. All right. Attempt number 3. Hot. Yeah, it's a little humid here in Arkansas. Little, 90 something degrees outside, and I'm tired of pulling on this thing. In regular world, I would tell the customer that you have to buy a $90 carburetor and I'm not going to touch it again until you do. And you should have told me that you had somebody work on it. You should have told me that you put a brand new aftermarket carburetor on there. I should have gotten all this information. Then I would have known where to look first. And my diagnosing time would have been cut exponentially. But now here I am. with a saw that will not run with this aftermarket carburetor. Doesn't matter how far out I adjust it, how far in I adjust it, it's not going to work. But you know what I did find? I went out to my junk pile. Y'all know I got, a 40-foot tarp full of 2-strokes. I found an MS280 that has the exact same carburetor on it. And I'm betting it's the OEM Stihl carburetor. So I'm going to take this one off the MS270, put it on his MS280. If it runs, I'm going to tell him he can pay me half price for a used carburetor, or I can get him a new carburetor. All right, first good sign. I got the chainsaw off the MS270, and it's exactly the same. And guess what? It says Walbro on the bottom of it. It's OEM, not an aftermarket. Thank goodness. I'm going to open it up real quick and see what it looks like inside. Well, doesn't look too bad. A little bit of dirt I can wipe off there. That's good. Let's look at this metering diaphragm. Ooh, still feels good. Let's go ahead and take a look underneath, just a peek. Looks nice underneath. Now I just have to take this saw apart again. All right, this is getting ridiculous. Look what I just found. Now, 99.9% of the time, coils either work or they don't work. They don't sort of work. Every once in a while, they do just sort of work. Check the spark, because I would have never checked this. It was popping off like crazy, so you would think that the coil is just fine. Let me get where y'all can see this. No fire. Little bit of fire. No fire. No fire. Little bit of fire. No fire. No fire. What in the world? And that is with the kill wire unattached, so it is not what's prohibiting it from running. Something's wrong with the coil or the flywheel. Now, I usually give a little bit of a discount whenever I use a customer's piece of equipment in one of my videos, but you know what I do charge for? Blisters, okay? I've pulled on this thing so many times. I have blisters. So I'm stealing the coil now off the MS270 and putting it on the MS280. All right, we're gonna go ahead and check, make sure we got some good fire now. Oh yeah. Every time. Awesome. All right, cross your fingers. Choke. I've got them set at like 1.5 and 2. Let's see what she does. Popped off. Sounds fierce. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Idle. That's a relief. So guys, this is days of our lives of a small engine repair person. I mean, this was a money pit. I would have never guessed, especially with having no background, not knowing anything that obviously the person had done to this chainsaw already. It just took me in one direction and then another direction and then another direction till finally, out of nowhere, just checking something that should have not been wrong. And it was the coil. That was crazy. Completely crazy. This was just bizarre. I mean, the whole aftermarket carburetor thing really threw me off. I'm probably going to go ahead and throw his carburetor back on just to see if it works or not. But even though when I was trying it, there was no gas in the cylinder or on the plug. So I really feel like the carburetor could still be an issue, but I don't want to charge the customer for a different carburetor if that's not what he needs. The coil issue is bizarre. Usually coils either work or they don't work, or they will work until they get hot and then not work. And you can check them and see that they have no fire. They don't normally have sporadic fire. I get very fed up with a lot of the Facebook groups that I follow for small engine repair that are constantly telling people change their coil when they have no idea what they're talking about, because most of the time coils are not the issue. It's definitely wise to invest in a spark checker because it's very hard to see with your eyeballs. So yeah, this one just ended up being bizarre, okay? I don't know how to explain it. But hey, it pulls pretty dang easy now. And guys, if you're looking for any of the tools you saw me use today, I will leave a link to my Amazon store in the description box below, or you can see the video of my top 10 must-have tools right here.